Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today's episode we're going to be going over uh oh my god, excuse me, I am so sorry. Damn. Jeez, I'm like burping and coughing up storms, so here we go. Anyways, today what we're gonna go over is essentially the Weather Prediction Center's day 1 through 5 excessive or extended rainfall outlook, ERO. Currently, today on the national forecast chart, we have high pressure over the eastern United States in off the Atlantic. We also have a tight pressure gradient in Mexico, a tight pressure gradient in Colorado, tighter-ish pressure gradients in Wyoming, and all that stuff, and some low pressures scattered around here and there, some in the United States, some up in Canada, and one down in Mexico. Uh, That's for today. This is for tomorrow, day 2. There is a risk of critical fire weather from California to Colorado. So that's for tomorrow. So if you do live in the black-ish shaded region, uh, tomorrow please be careful. There is also risks of severe weather from Ohio to Pennsylvania to Massachusetts and New York, and also into Montana and North Dakota as a separate risk. Uh, there will also be a risk of flash flooding from Arkansas into Oklahoma and Texas tomorrow as well, and some mixed precipitation is possible in the Pacific Northwest. So please be very careful. Be careful. Uh, there are mainly just uh, low pressures extending from Nevada to Montana along a frontal boundary and frontal boundaries, and then a low extending into the Canadian uh, Atlantic Canada, basically, from a very long cold front. And then that severe risk subsides, and the cold front moves through the area, and rain takes over in the northeast, and severe weather is not expected for the northeast again, uh, at least for now, but severe weather will hold uh, in North Dakota, and a pertinent potential flash flooding risk will occur or I should say from Iowa all the way down to the Ark-La-Tex region, basically. Uh, so that is that. There are low pressures making a U with the fronts that they are connected to. They're making a U. One front goes off to the east, one goes off to the west. So cool, cool. There's also a low that is in Colorado. It has a dry line that's going off to the north and the south, and another low in California and Nevada with a dry line also going from north to south. It's north-south oriented. We also have a high pressure system over the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America, whichever one you want to call it, and a high pressure system in Canada, kind of on the border between Ontario and Atlantic Canada, basically. So, awesome sauce. But anyway, so let's just get into this. Let's do it. Let's get into it. Uh, so there's an excessive rainfall outlook. Excessive rain is forecast from Texas and Oklahoma, uh, and then disconnected, but will start up again from Nebraska and Kansas, all the way into western Illinois, northwestern Illinois. So I'm going to read the discussion. There is an update, but I'm going to read the previous discussion first. Previous discussion, eastern Nebraska and Kansas to mid-Mississippi Valley. A northern stream shortwave trough with multiple embedded vortexes will move through the Midwest Friday and provide lift for convection. First, convection and potential for flash flooding looks to be ongoing as the period begins 12Z Friday morning, generally near the Iowa, Missouri, and Iowa-Illinois border. This also sends precipitation into Wisconsin and lower Michigan in the morning to the early afternoon, but ahead of the influx of instability, so this is a more marginal flooding threat. The next and likely stronger energy in the shortwave, along with a cold front slowly shifting southward, will help develop another round of thunderstorms beginning in the afternoon and likely becoming enhanced in the evening and the overnight. The high-resolution ensemble forecasts and its members, as well as the rapid ensemble forecast system, show that this should be centered in southeastern Nebraska and northeastern Kansas to southern Iowa, with periods of quantitative precipitation forecasts exceeding flash flood guidance, HREF and REFS probabilities around 20 to 50% for flash flood guidance exceedance. A slight risk remains reasonable for this activity, but upgrades are not out of the question if training looks to overlap with the currently ongoing convection. And by currently ongoing, Thursday night's convection. Texas to southern Oklahoma. A compact southern stream upper low is forecast to drift from northern Mexico across Texas during the period. This lifting mechanism will be paired with precipitable water anomalies in the 90th to 95th percentile in the southern plains. There is some uncertainty in magnitude of instability due to cloud cover, but models show convective available potential energy being sufficient at generally 1,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram, with the center low aloft helping to steepen lapse rates. Scattered convection that has the ingredients for flash flooding is likely to occur, so we went with an upgrade to a broad slight risk in this issuance. The exact focus for the heaviest rain remains somewhat elusive, but there is some signal in the convective allowing models for east-central Texas. Also included some areas to the west in the slight risk to include some of the typically more sensitive, lower flash flood guidance areas in the hill country to the Concho Valley and the Permian Basin. The marginal risk stretches back into New Mexico, where there are some sensitive areas like burn scars. Central Gulf Coast. A disturbance likely in the form of a trough at low levels is forecast to drift slowly towards the central Gulf Coast, specifically southeastern Louisiana and southern Mississippi, with moisture anomalies over the 90th, if not the 95th percentile, and sufficient instability. Intense rain rates could lead to a flooding threat in the form of a marginal risk. Though typically not a very sensitive area to flash flooding, antecedent wet conditions could enhance the potential. The back end of the trough could also lead to heavy rain in the Florida Keys, with the HREF REFS neighborhood probabilities of reaching 5 inches of rain and greater than 60%. But considering the possibility the heaviest rain could be offshore and how much rain the Keys can handle with the sandy soils, we held off on any risk. And then the 16Z update. The 12Z high-resolution guidance did not suggest any major changes that are needed, therefore made mostly minor adjustments based on the guidance. These changes included a northeastward expansion of the marginal risk over the southern plains, and northwestward extensions of the marginal and slight risks over eastern Nebraska. That's for day 1 today. This is for day 2 Saturday. Tomorrow. Slight risk Oklahoma, Arkansas to Texas. There is a slight risk of excessive rainfall over the southern plains and stuff like that. Southern plains to mid-Mississippi Valley. The meteorological setup on Saturday across the south-central U.S. will be similar to Friday's, through with the compact upper low gradually tracking north across the southern half of the plains. The continued enhanced moisture and the instability will yield an environment favorable for convection, with intense rain rates causing flash flooding concerns. Areas farther north into Oklahoma should see stronger forcing, while the low-level jet could be maximized farther south into Texas. Thus, we covered all this area with a slight risk. Rapid ensemble forecast system probabilities, which extend through the day 2 period, show scattered instances of quantitative precipitation forecasts potentially exceeding the flash flood guidance. Smaller scale boundaries left over from thunderstorms on previous days could provide areas of focus that would likely be unclear before the near term. Central Gulf Coast. By Saturday, the surface low-level trough mentioned in the Day 1 discussion should reach the central Gulf Coast during the day and produce heavier quantitative precipitation forecasts on land compared to Friday. Once again, antecedent conditions in the region are not typically sensitive, but they are wetter than normal. REFS probabilities of exceeding flash flood guidance are 20 to 40% in southeastern Louisiana, so we will continue to monitor if slow thunderstorms and training are likely to cause more slight risk level impacts and need an upgrade. Ohio Valley. The northern stream shortwave is forecast to push through the Great Lakes in the Ohio Valley and the Northeast on Saturday, with a frontal system ahead of it. The front should lay west to east across the Ohio Valley, so scattered thunderstorms could train and cause isolated flash flooding. The Northeast can also expect some convection, but is likely progressive enough to limit flash flooding potential to below a marginal. In this issuance, we connected the plains and the Ohio Valley marginal risks together. There is potential for storms back into northern Missouri and the vicinity, which could be very wet after multiple rounds of convection. So we wanted to cover that area. Awesome. Day 3, from Oklahoma and Arkansas to Iowa, or Iowa to the Arklatex. Into Sunday, southern stream energy will continue to push north through the central and northern plains in the Midwest, while opening up into a trough. This will once again provide forcing for thunderstorms in the plains and the Mississippi Valley, and a low-level jet of 30 to 40 knots should bring the instability and the moisture into the region. The best overlapping of ingredients for flash flooding, supported by the GEFS and ECENS probabilities for over an inch of rain, will likely be centered over Missouri, south into Arkansas, and west into eastern parts of Kansas and Oklahoma, so this is where the slight risk is drawn for Day 3. Some convection could linger farther south, towards the Gulf Coast, which the marginal does cover. By Sunday night, a northern stream trough with a strong vorticity maximum is forecast to push into the northern high plains, bringing enhanced quantitative precipitation forecasts ahead of it for a marginal risk stretching through portions of the Dakotas and western Minnesota. That's for Sunday. This is for Monday, and this is also for Tuesday. For Monday, it's like the Paducah Metro, Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Missouri in a slight risk. And then Day 5, it's just another marginal. So, at the surface, a series of low pressure systems and frontal boundaries moving across the plains into the upper Great Lakes will support scattered showers and thunderstorms across much of the Mississippi Valley and the upper Great Lakes on Monday into Tuesday. Several shortwave disturbances embedded within the west to northwest flow aloft will support clusters of thunderstorms. Increasing moisture transport from the Gulf combined with sufficient instability along the boundary could bring chances for high rainfall rates. Therefore, the Monday risk of excessive rainfall, the slight risk, is in place to account for flash flooding concerns across parts of the Tennessee and Ohio valleys into the Mississippi Valley, while the marginal risk continues to highlight parts of the Central Plains, the Upper Great Lakes, the Upper Midwest, and the Southeast. The frontal passage will slowly move into the Ohio and Tennessee valleys and parts of the mid-Atlantic by Tuesday, bringing chances for showers and thunderstorms eastward, while a southerly flow continues to pool warm moisture along the boundary. Therefore, a marginal risk was placed for Tuesday. For day 5, the excessive rainfall outlook across parts of the Great Lakes into parts of the southeast. In addition, a secondary marginal risk is placed over the northern plains, where increased instability, may interact with a secondary frontal boundary, producing organized convection and heavy rainfall rates. Over into the southeast, persistent warm moisture combined with sea breeze interactions will maintain daily thunderstorm chances across Florida and portions of the Gulf Coast, which may lead to persistent and locally heavy rainfall. Where the hell did this thing go? Oh well. Never mind. Sorry. Troughing over the Pacific Northwest in a surface low with a trailing cold front will bring cooler conditions and chances for scattered showers and storms on Monday into Tuesday. By midweek, the frontal boundary pushes further southeastward and will interact with a secondary frontal boundary over the northern Rockies and the plains. The frontal boundary will gradually drape into the upper Midwest, bringing additional showers and thunderstorms across the northern tier through Thursday. Temperatures will trend below normal over the Pacific Northwest and along the West Coast as the trough continues to move inland. The remainder of the contiguous United States will experience above-seasonal temperatures, with north-central United States seeing the greatest anomaly with 15 to 25 degrees above normal temperatures. Alrighty, that's it. Have a great day.